We'll talk about sort of the creation process of this movie because it is so fun. It's very nostalgic. You have some Easter eggs in the movie, which are really cool. Talk about kind of the inspiration behind this movie.
So this movie really came between me and my partner Philip Glasser. Philip has produced 40 or 50 movies, over his career. But it really began 3 or 4 years ago, with my kids and watching them watch Home Alone. We watched Home Alone and I got the chance to see how much they enjoyed it and they laughed. But they watched it probably 10 times, right, over the next few weeks. And I really realized that, to speak into a kid, you have to get their attention first. And so we turned around and built this movie for the specific purpose to go and, really show kids and to entertain them and kind of point them back to Christ. But we knew we had to get their attention first, right? To speak to anyone, you have to get their attention. And so we used a lot of those elements from Home Alone, from Ernest Goes to Camp. And so, we really just reverse engineered this movie. And then everything, kind of started coming together. God was very kind to us to bring us Christopher Lloyd and Corbin Blue from High School Musical. And so it was just, it was a great experience.
Yeah, there are a lot of faith elements in this movie, which I love. It's not overtly a faith-based movie, but you do have a lot of faith elements. You have a lot of religious imagery. Talk about why it was so important to incorporate some of these things into this narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our faith is very important to us, right? Called Higher Studios is the studio that produced this movie. It is a Christian fan-owned movie studio, so we're actually owned by over 5,000 Christian brothers and sisters, right, who have invested $100 or $1,000 with the mission to go and make content that spreads the name of Christ. And so it was very important for us to do something that lined up with our values. And so that's why, you'll see those elements in this film. We didn't want to be heavy-handed. We didn't want to beat kids over the head with scripture. But if you watch the movie, you're gonna probably pick out the same things that you picked out. There's a great scene where Corbin really breaks through to Noah in a conversation, and if you're a believer, you'll recognize that as the parable of the sower. And so there's little Easter eggs and elements through that where we show values, Christian values, right? And these kids really don't preach to Noah, right? And they don't tell him the gospel. They really show him the gospel through their actions, right? Through friendship and belonging and a lot of those elements.
Cult hire is such a cool concept, and what you're doing is really unique and pretty original. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about that and how this production company came to be?
Yeah, so we actually started, we were, to my knowledge, the first Christian fan-owned company. We came before Angel and The Chosen back in 2019. But it was really birthed from really a desire to go get a lot of people together, right? To allow them to be emotionally and financially invested, and really just to go make movies that we all love and scream about them together. And so we did not know if it would work. This was in the time where crowdfunding was just starting in 2019. But my partner Ash Grayson, who owns a company called Ribbo Media, which is a phenomenal company that does a lot of marketing. He's marketed God's Not Dead, Jesus Revolution. I can only imagine, some of these great movies that we've seen. He was really excited about the concept, and so when we launched this in 2019, we maxed out our offering in 2 or 3 or 4 months. And so, we quickly realized that people had a hunger and a desire to be a part of the movie making process, to own a piece of it, and to really kind of go on the journey together. And what's great about it is I've had so many conversations with an investor who put in $100, right? And they're always surprised when I call them. But I get more out of those meetings because it's a better mousetrap, in my opinion, to go to the end user, right? For so long, Hollywood has been making what they want you to see. There's no shortage of content for kids where they're trying to promote unbiblical values and really have an agenda. And so it's great to get a chance to go to the end user, the ticket buyer, right, and to ask them, hey, what do you want to see, right, and what do you want to be a part of? And that was something that was really important to us, to go on this collective journey, really as a community.
So you were hearing from viewers, from fans that they wanted to see a family-friendly movie
Mhm.
that they could watch with their children.
Yeah, one of our very first surveys that we sent out and said, "Hey, why did you invest in Called Hire Studios?" We expected to get a lot of answers. One of the top answers that we got was we want to make content that our kids and our grandkids can watch, right? And we want to put a stamp on that. And so that was very interesting to know that there were a lot of people who, kind of saw what we saw, right? And that knew that we needed to focus on kids' movies, at least in the beginning. So
There's so many elements in Camp Hideout that do make it sort of the perfect family movie. But I want to talk especially about Noah's search for belonging, and
mm.
this theme and why this will resonate so well with families and with kids today.
Yeah, I mean, I think today our attention span is so shortened, right? And there's definitely a way we there's never been a time where we've had so many followers and so many friends on our social media and have been so disconnected, right? And then also coming out of COVID, where we had to social distance, I think there's been a big push to keep community away. Um, I think that this movie kind of goes in the opposite direction of that, right? When we look at, I love it when, in Matthew they asked Jesus, what's the number one commandment? He said, love your God, but he also said, love your neighbor, right? That's why in this movie, Noah, who is from the foster care system, is really he has a lot of walls up, right? And so these kids come alongside of him, and with all of his faults, and with all of his lies, they show him, um, unconditional love, right? And it's in the form of when the bad guys show up. At the end of the movie, these kids all get together, and the last third of the movie really is just Home Alone with a lot of hijinks and the great physical comedy. But Noah, in his journey, he ends up finding a family, at the end of it.
What do your kids think about this movie?
Oh, my kids love the movie. Their only argument to me is why I didn't put them in it more. And so, so my kids got a chance to be in the fight, in the food fight scene. That was one of their favorite scenes. We shot it locally at a camp called Deer Run. They called me afterwards and said, "Hey, we love the fact that we did this. We just want to let you know it took us a couple days to clean up."
Yeah.
And so, there was some great moments, but my kids are really, really, really excited about it. They are huge TikTok toy fans and Family Fun Squad fans, and so both of those YouTube families are in the movie, and so they were really really excited to get a chance to see them as well. So,
Okay, so what else can we expect from Called Higher?
oh wow, we just want to keep doing what we're doing, right? We want to go and continue to make movies. Our next movie that we have in development, we've optioned the life rights of Ann Byler, who founded a little company called Annie Ann's Pretzels. And so global brand, Ann is a phenomenal author and speaker. And so we're going to focus on turning her life story into a film. And so that's the next one on the plate. But we have a couple more behind that. So we're really, really, really excited. And who knows, there may be a Camp Hideout too in our future.